Welcome to another Guiding Principles Explained with Lynn Forrest. I'm Jaquetta, and today we are talking about the 10th guiding principle, the law of alignment, which states, through conscious intention, we align with reality on the path to peace and surrender to the service we were created to do. By doing so, we move into observer consciousness and find inner peace and outer harmony. I just want to say that this law has always kind of been hard to understand for me. I had a hard time connecting with why is this an important law? What does it have to do with my life? I just figured the law of alignment was aligning with source. And I think it is part of that. I still think that. But it came to me, I had some new clarity around that, Lynn, and I wanted to share that with you before I let you have it. Around the seventh law of verification, also known as the reality formula, which we talk about a lot, which is when you feel it, think it, you believe it, and it becomes true, you prove it. And it occurred to me that this is also a part of the law of alignment, because when we align with something, meaning we believe it to our core, we line up with it. And then it becomes a reality. And that is also part of the law of alignment. And I don't know if I'm saying it clearly, but it seemed to make sense to me at the moment. So I wanted to hand that over to you and get your thoughts on that.
Well, thank you, Kata. And you're right that the law of alignment is a law that, again, it depends on what you align with. Whatever you line up with is what's fueling your manifestation. It's what's going to affect what it is you're manifesting on the ground. So if you're aligning with, and really, we basically have two choices of what to align with. And when we have we can align with the limited story of a self that's based in fear, that's based in scarcity, that's based in not enoughness, that's based in a belief that there's something wrong, out of alignment, out of a sync with who the world should be. It's so when we align with that idea of who we are, with the story of who we are, then we will actually feed and fuel life so that we see more of that. That'll be more of what we experience in life. Versus this 10th principle, which is really encouraging us to align with the higher version of who we are, by aligning with that which sources us, which is, you can think of it as a higher power, you can think of it as a higher source, you can think of it as the authentic, essential self, that which is eternal in you, which remembers who you are and understands that you are here for a purpose, that you are beyond, that your conditions and the things that you experience are all part of the life setup you came to experience for the purpose of remembering who you are. And so it's really, what are you lining up with, and becoming conscious of what you're lining up with, and choosing to line up with that which will bring you more into a memory of who you are, who you essentially are, who you were born to be. I think it's sort of like, for the oak tree, that acorn, inside that acorn is the map of what that is, that it will never grow a rose bush, it will never grow a pine tree, it will never grow asparagus, it will grow the oak tree. And it has that blueprint there. We each have a seed pod within us, a sacred design that is destined to turn into who we are, authentically, essentially. And lining up with that, the law of alignment says, I want to line up with that. I want to remember that. I want to uh, intend that. It really is about choosing what it is I want to direct my attention to and feeding that, because what we feed grows. What we invest energy into gets bigger. And so we want to align with that which will take us to the true revelation of who we are as um, extensions of that one authentic living intelligence, which we all come from. We're all emanations of that mind.
So when we find ourselves aligned with something we don't want, we all have the opportunity for that realignment, to realign with what it is we consciously choose, what we want, what we want to see more of, what we want to experience more of.
Yeah,
And yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And the thing about it is, that's exactly right. It's called realign throughout the day. Realign, realign, realign. Remember is another word for it. Remember that I'm not the story, that I'm not the limited mindset that I want to and have identified myself as being. I'm not enough. I'm not defective. I am an expression of the oneness that has come to have a particular journey uh, full of challenges and loopholes and um, things that sharpen and refine me, things that are grist for the mill, things that are that it's like, that which sharpens a knife or sharpens a pencil or whatever, it's you bring it against something that creates some resistance, which refines, sharpens. Uh, so that is the purpose of alignment, and remembering who we are and aligning and choosing to align with that um, is an important part of determining where we go. So we get to choose. That's our choice. We are given free will. What that means is we have the power of choosing what we're going to line up with. We don't really choose our eye color or our skin color or our conditions that we come into necessarily, although really, truly, the authentic self does choose those things, does choose to give us the experience that we have. But we wake up on this side with that having been already orchestrated for us. But every day, throughout the day, we're given the right to choose what we're going to line up with in this moment, how we're going to proceed our life. That's what that means, because that's how I choose to line up. If I choose to believe the disempowering story of a self that is limited and problematic, that somebody who things don't work out well for, somebody who's not lovable, somebody who didn't do it right. If I decide to empower that with my belief system, then I'm lining up with it. That's how I choose to line up. And I'm choosing to line up with that, and I will verify it. I will gather the evidence that proves me right. If, on the other hand, I remember that I can choose to line up with a bigger picture, an authentic being that came here by design on purpose to take on the challenges, including the dysfunction that I experience in life, for the purpose of awakening and remembering who I am. When I do that, when I choose to do that, empower that, then I prove that. And that is what I verify, and that is what I get to live out. And that is the choice I have every single day. Every time I come to a crossroad or a path where the paths divide, I can choose to go this way or that way, depending on what I want to align with. And there's not even a wrong thing to do, because every time I choose to align with the story, I get to learn something new from aligning with the story. It's not like that's not a viable choice. It's not like the authentic self will choose to align with the reduced story. until it doesn't anymore. And maybe it will always choose to go in and out of that. And it will only do that if that is the fastest path to remembering who we are. So I have confidence in that and faith that that's the way it's designed to be. So I believe that for me. I believe that for you. I believe it for every person I sit down with, that I trust what you're lining up with, even if it's the painful, contracted rendition of a self. I trust that you are lining up with that because there are things in it for you to learn, and that it's going to take you places of contrast that will show you more, help you desire more the opposite of, and therefore fuel more of where you want to go.